Kenny, sir.
Good morning, Commissioner.
Good morning. Man, they kind of switched me up. I changed our meeting ID number.
Oh, did they?
Yeah, I mean, I typed in something different. I'm kind of technologically illiterate, so that's a big biggie for me.
I just have a link on my calendar that I click on and it brings me here instantly.
Yeah.
So I think that had to do with the presentation today.
You think you do what, sir?
Holzman here.
I think that had to do with the presentation that we have today.
Oh, gotcha.
Good morning, Commissioner Holzman.
Good morning.
Roop's here.
Good morning, Commissioner Root.
Good morning, everyone.
Maida Coleman is here.
Good morning, Commissioner.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman.
All right, it is 10:15 and we're all in attendance. So we'll go ahead and call the commission meeting to order. Again, due to COVID-19, we will continue conducting agendas via WebEx for the foreseeable future. So I ask those that are participating on the call, please mute your phone unless you need to speak. We have a long agenda today. We have 19 orders and then a presentation at the end. But the first order of business is to approve the minutes from February 17th, 2021. You all have seen those. Are there any additions or corrections? Hearing none, all those in favor of approving the minutes from February 17th, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Those minutes are approved 5-0. We also had closed minutes from February 17th, which you all have seen. Are there any additions or corrections to those? Hearing none, all those in favor of approving the closed minutes from February 17th, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Those minutes are also approved 5-0. As I mentioned, we do have a presentation by Ameren on time of use rates at the end of today's agenda, but we will go ahead and begin our work on the 19 orders. So first up is file number EO 2021-0050. This is in the matter of the application of Union Electric Company, DBA Ameren, Missouri, for approval of decommissioning cost estimate for Callaway Energy Center and funding level of Nuclear Decommissioning Trust Fund. This order approves an agreement reached by Ameren, Missouri and Staff Council concerning the funding for the decommissioning of the Callaway Energy Center. In November, the company had filed an application to approve its cost estimates and to approve the continuation of funding level of the Nuclear Decommissioning Trust. OPC did not oppose the agreement, so in addition to approving this agreement, this order admits submitted documents into evidence and finds that the company's 2020 study satisfies the Commission's regulatory requirements and sets the annual decommissioning expense accrual and trust fund payments at the current level. So I support this order as drafted version 1. Commissioner Kinney?
I am in support of the order.
Commissioner Roop?
Supporting the order as well.
Commissioner Coleman?
I support the order.
And Commissioner Holzman?
I support the order.
All right, all those in favor of approving the order as drafted version 1 say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
That order is approved 5-0. Next up, file number AC 2021-0037. This is DDMS Properties Complainant v. Metropolitan St. Louis Sewer District Respondent. This order just dismisses a complaint brought against the Metropolitan St. Louis Sewer District for lack of jurisdiction. So I support this order version 1. Commissioner Kinney?
I'm in support.
Commissioner Roop?
Support.
Commissioner Coleman?
I'm in support.
And Commissioner Holzman?
I support the order.
All right, all those in favor of approving the order as drafted version 1 say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
That order is approved 5-0. Next up, file number WA 2021-0116. This is in the matter of Missouri American Water Company for a certificate of convenience and necessity, authorizing it to install, own, acquire, construct, operate, control, manage, and maintain a water system in an area of Stone County, Missouri, which is the Table Rock Estates subdivision. So Missouri American requested a CCN to acquire the water system for the Table Rock subdivision in Stone County, which is currently owned by a homeowners association. 56 of the 58 lot owners previously had voted to approve the sale of assets to Missouri American. So staff conducted a review of the request, and since the system was originally contributed to the HOA from the developer, there were limited records for Missouri American staff's audit department to evaluate the net book value of assets. So members of staff's engineering and analysis unit did a thorough review and determined the net book value of the system and determined the proposed purchase price was below staff's calculation of the net book value. And staff recommends that the CCN be granted subject to certain conditions, including that the current rates be used until they can be examined in a rate case and that customer meters be installed within 3 years. So I want to take a moment and point out that I do appreciate staff's efforts and the work that they put into gathering this information for their recommendation. I know that can be especially difficult with these smaller systems that don't always keep the best records. And just because we're dealing with COVID doesn't mean that work stops. And I know that staff went and performed an on-site inspection to assess the system's conditions. So I do want to express my gratitude to them for that. No responses were received to staff's recommendation, and I think that Missouri American has met the Tartan factors and support this order granting the CCN with the recommended conditions version 2. Commissioner Kinney.
I will support the order.
Commissioner Roop.
I agree with your comments, and I'm supporting the order.
You, Commissioner Coleman.
Thank you. I agree also. I support the order.
And Commissioner Holzman.
I support the order.
All right, all those in favor of approving the order as drafted version 2 say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
That order is approved 5-0. Next up, file number SA 2021-0074. This is in the matter of Missouri American Water Company for certificates of convenience and necessity, authorizing it to install, own, acquire, construct, operate, control, manage, and maintain sewer systems in and around the city of Trimble, Missouri. In September, Missouri American filed an application seeking a CCN to acquire a sewer system in Trimble and the Centennial Acres system near Trimble. So the company has purchase agreements with both the city and Centennial Acres. Staff performed a review and recommended a revised expanded service area. Staff recommended the CCN be granted subject to certain conditions, including that Missouri American charge the monthly flat rate of $38.75 per month as set by its existing tariff. No responses were received. I believe that the tartan factors have been met and support this order granting the CCN version 2. Commissioner Kinney?
I will support the order.
Commissioner Roop?
As will I.
Commissioner Coleman?
I support the order.
And Commissioner Holzman?
I support the order.
All right. All those in favor of approving the order as drafted version 2 say aye. Aye.
Aye.
That order is approved 5-0. Next up, file number EC 2021-0059. This is Missouri Landowners Alliance, Eastern Missouri Landowners Alliance DBA, Show Me Concerned Landowners, and John G. Hobbs complainants, v. Grainbelt Express LLC and Invenergy Transmission LLC respondent. This is an order on a motion to compel. If the standard of discovery is whether the requested information is relevant or likely to lead to admissible evidence, then I think it is reasonable for respondents to provide them the requested information that is in their custody and control that is not privileged. So with that, I support this order as drafted version 4. Commissioner Kinney?
I'm in support.
Commissioner Roop?
I am supporting the order.
Commissioner Coleman?
I support the order.
And Commissioner Holzman.
I support the order.
All right, all those in favor of approving the order as drafted version 4 say aye. Aye.
Aye.
That order is approved 5-0. Next up, file number TC 2020-0409. This is Socket Telecom LLC complainant v. Embark Missouri Inc., DBA CenturyLink respondent. This order just sets a procedural schedule in the complaint case, including a 2-day evidentiary hearing on May 18 and 19 to be conducted via WebEx. I support this order as drafted version 1. Commissioner Kinney?
I'm in support.
Commissioner Roop?
Am I?
Commissioner Coleman?
I support the order.
And Commissioner Holzman.
I support the order.
All right, all those in favor of approving the order as drafted version 1 say aye. Aye.
Aye.
That order is approved 5-0. Next up, file number GR 2020-0121. This is in the matter of Spire Missouri Inc., DBA Spire's purchased gas actual cost adjustment filing for its Spire Missouri East operating unit. Staff performed a review and audit of Spire East's billed revenues and actual gas costs for the October 1st, 2018 through December 15th, 2020 period. Staff evaluated the company's submitted ending actual cost adjustment balances and does not recommend an adjustment. There were no requests for a hearing on staff's recommendations, so this order sets the ending ACA balance for Spire Missouri East's unit, and I support this order as drafted version 1. Commissioner Kinney?
I support the order.
Commissioner Roop?
Support the order as well.
Commissioner Coleman?
I support the order.
Commissioner Holzman.
I support the order.
All right, all those in favor of approving this order as drafted version 1 say aye. Aye.
Aye.
That order is approved 5-0. Next up, file number GR 2020-0122. This is in the matter of Spire Missouri Inc., DBA Spire's purchase gas adjustment, cost adjustment filing for its Spire Missouri West operating unit. Similar to the prior order, the company has submitted its ending ACA balances for the October 1, 2018 through September 30, 2018 period for its Spire Missouri West service territory. Staff conducted an audit and reviewed the billed revenues and actual gas costs for the period and recommended they did not include a monetary adjustment. No hearing was requested, so this order approves the ACA ending balance as identified in staff's report, and I support this order version 1. Commissioner Kinney?
I support the order.
Commissioner Roop?
I am supporting as well.
Commissioner Coleman?
I support the order.
And Commissioner Holzman.
I support the order.
All right, all those in favor of approving the order as drafted version 1 say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
That order is approved 5-0. Next up, file number EO 2019-0132. This is in the matter of Evergy Missouri Metro and Evergy Missouri West's notice of intent to file applications for authority to establish a demand-side programs investment mechanism. Evergy filed an application to update the evaluation, measurement, and verification plans for its MIA Cycle 3. Staff recommended the updated plans be approved. No other responses were received. So this order authorizes the EM and VIA update, and I recommend we support this order version 1. Commissioner Kinney.
I support the order.
Commissioner Roop.
I support the order as well.
Commissioner Coleman.
I support the order.
And Commissioner Holzman.
I support the order.
All right, all those in favor of approving this order as drafted version 1, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
That order is approved 5-0. Next up, file numbers EE 2021-0237 and EE 2021-0238. This is in the matter of Evergy Missouri Metro Inc., DBA Evergy Missouri Metro, 2020 Biennial Parallel Generation Tariff. This is a notice that the net metering tariff sheets used by Evergy to set the rates paid to facilities of 100 kilowatts or less will go into effect by operation of law on February 25th. Staff reviewed the tariff sheets and submitted a recommendation. So I support this notice as drafted version 2. Commissioner Kinney.
I'm in support.
Commissioner Roop.
As am I.
Commissioner Coleman.
I support the notice.
And Commissioner Holzman.
I'm in support.
All right, all those in favor of approving this notice as drafted version 2 say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
This notice is approved 5-0. Next up, file number EC 2021-0059. This is Missouri Landowners Alliance, Eastern Missouri Landowners Alliance, DBA Show Me Concerned Landowners, and John G. Hobbs, complainants, v. Grainbelt Express LLC and Invenergy Transmission LLC, respondent. So we just had an order on the motion to compel in this case. This order addressed the joint request by the complainant and respondent to modify the procedural schedule. So this order revises some of the deadlines, but the evidentiary hearing is still set for April 1st. So I support this order as drafted version 1. Commissioner Kinney.
I am in support of the order.
Commissioner
I am voting yes.
Commissioner Coleman.
I support the order.
And Commissioner Holzman.
I support the order.
All right, all those in favor of approving this order as drafted version 1 say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
This order is approved 5-0. Next up, file number AO 2021-0264. This is in the matter of the cause of the February 2021 cold weather event and its impact on investor-owned utilities. So obviously, we all know that there was a severe cold weather polar vortex event last week that impacted a major part of the country, which included Missouri and lasted for several days. So there were impacts on the electric and natural gas utilities, with the Southwest Power Pool declaring a level 3 emergency alert across its entire 14-state region. So at that level, there were calls for controlled temporary service interruptions. And I know that there have been a lot of questions and speculations about the causes of the event, especially for the state that had the most severe interruptions. But to help clarify what happened and gather information for the Commission's review, as well as for the public, the Commission is going to open the docket and direct staff to gather information and relevant analysis, including the forthcoming investigations by the market monitors and FERC, and then have them provide a paper to the Commission with their findings. So with that, I support this order as drafted version 4. Commissioner Kinney.
I support the order.
Commissioner Roop.
I support the order as well.
Commissioner Coleman.
I support the order.
And Commissioner Holzman.
I support the order.
All right, all those in favor of approving the order as drafted version 4 say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
That order is approved 5-0. Next up, file number IA 2021-0221. This is in the matter of Northeast Missouri Rural Telephone Company, DBA NEMR Telecom's application for expansion of its designation as an eligible telecommunications carrier for purpose of receiving Rural Digital Opportunity Fund and motions for expedited treatment and waiver. So, Northeast Rural Telephone Company is requesting authority to expand its current eligible telecommunications carrier designation. The company was awarded federal funds designated for the purpose of expanding broadband facilities to more rural areas. So, this company is requesting expedited treatment because a delay may impact its ability to provide voice and broadband service to the customers in the requested census blocks. Staff performed an investigation and recommended that the request be approved. No other responses were received, so this order grants the application version 2. Commissioner Kinney,
I will support the order.
Commissioner Roop,
As will I.
Commissioner Coleman,
I support the order.
and Commissioner Holzman.
I support the order.
All right, all those in favor of approving the order as drafted version 2 say aye. Aye.
Aye.
That order is approved 5-0. So that was the first of several ETC cases or orders that we have coming up. So next is file number DA 2021-0190. This is in the matter of the petition of PD Fiber LLC for designation as an eligible telecommunications carrier pursuant to Section 214 sub E sub 2 of the Communications Act of 1934 as amended. PD Fiber is seeking authority to be designated as an ETC carrier due to the company being awarded federal rural digital opportunity funds. The company provided the census blocks it is requesting ETC designation for. Staff reviewed the recommendation and recommended that the request be approved. So this order grants the ETC designation, and I support this version 1. Commissioner Kinney,
I'm in support.
Commissioner Roop,
I'm supporting.
Commissioner Coleman,
I'm in support.
and Commissioner Holzman.
I support the order.
All right, all those in favor of approving the order as drafted version 1 say aye. Aye.
Aye.
That order is approved 5-0. Next up, file number DA 2021-0191. This is in the matter of the petition of Calabyte Technology LLC for expanded designation as an eligible telecommunication carrier pursuant to Section 214 sub E sub 2 of the Communications Act of 1934 as amended. Calabyte Technology also requested expansion of its existing ETC designation due to its award of federal digital funds. The company would use the funds to extend broadband service in the designated census blocks. Staff performed an investigation and found Calabyte has met the requirements for eligible telecommunication carriers. So this order grants the application, and I support it version 1. Commissioner Kinney,
I will support the order.
Commissioner Roop,
As will I.
Commissioner Coleman,
I support the order.
and Commissioner Holzman.
I support the order.
All right. All those in favor of approving the order as drafted version 1 say aye. Aye.
Aye.
That order is approved 5-0. Next up, file number DA 2021-0193. This is in the matter of the petition of Connexon Connect LLC for designation as an eligible telecommunication carrier pursuant to Section 214 sub E sub 2 of the Communications Act of 1934 as amended. Similar to the prior orders, Connexon Connect is requesting ETC designation due to its award of rural digital opportunity funds to be used to extend broadband in rural areas. The company is requesting ETC designation for the census blocks in those awarded areas. Staff reviewed the request, filed a recommendation that the commission approve the request since the company does meet the regulatory requirements. And I support this order granting their designation version 1. Commissioner Kinney,
I'm in support.
Commissioner Root,
As am I.
Commissioner Coleman,
I support the order.
and Commissioner Holzman.
I support the order.
All right. All those in favor of approving the order as drafted version 1 say aye. Aye.
Aye.
That order is approved 5-0. Next up, file number DA 2021-0196. This is in the matter of the application of ComoCom Inc., DBA Como Connect for expanded designation as an eligible telecommunications carrier pursuant to Section 214 sub E sub 2 of the Communications Act of 1934 as amended. So we also had Como Connect requesting expanded ETC designation to cover their census blocks that have been awarded federal funds for broadband service. Staff reviewed the recommendation and recommended that the commission approve the request. So this order grants their request, expanding their ETC designation, and I support it version 1. Commissioner Kinney,
I support the order.
Commissioner Root,
So do I.
Commissioner Coleman,
I support the order.
and Commissioner Holzman.
I support the order.
All right, all those in favor of approving the order as drafted, version 1, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
That order is approved 5-0. Next up, file number DA 2021-0197. This is in the matter of the application of GoSimo LLC for expanded designation as an eligible telecommunications carrier pursuant to Section 214 sub-E sub-2 of the Communications Act of 1934 as amended. Not to be left out, GoSimo also requested its ETC designation to be extended since it was also awarded federal funds to extend broadband service to rural areas. Staff reviewed the request and recommended it be approved. So this order grants the expanded ETC designation, and I support it version 1. Commissioner Kenny,
I am in support.
Commissioner Root,
As am I.
Commissioner Coleman,
I support the order.
and Commissioner Holzman.
I support the order.
All right, all those in favor of approving the order as drafted, version 1, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
That order is approved 5-0. And finally, at the end of this marathon is file number EW 2021-0267. This is in the matter of the establishment of a working case regarding FERC Order 2222 regarding participation of distributed energy resource aggregators in markets operated by regional transmission organizations and independent system operators. So this order opens a working case to consider what steps the Commission should take as a result of FERC Order 2222, which allows for the participation of aggregated distributed energy resources in the various RTO markets. And I support this version 2. Commissioner Kenny,
I am in support.
Commissioner Root,
So am I.
Commissioner Coleman,
I concur.
and Commissioner Holzman.
I support the order.
All right, all those in favor of approving the order as drafted, version 2, say aye.
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 That order is approved 5-0. So that concludes reports and orders for today. We do have the forthcoming presentation. So before we get to that, let's do scheduling, and then we will end with the presentation. So as I mentioned, presentation forthcoming today. The big news today is that Friday, March 5th, today through Friday, March 5th, the Missouri American Water hearing was scheduled to begin today at 2, but the parties have filed a motion to suspend the procedural schedule while they work on a global settlement. So that is not happening now, and hopefully we will have a settlement soon. Wednesday, March 3rd, agenda at 10:15 a.m. Wednesday, March 10th, agenda at 10:15 a.m. Wednesday, March 17th, agenda at 10:15 a.m. And Wednesday, March 24th, agenda at 10:15 a.m. Are there any comments, questions, or requests regarding scheduling through March 24th? All right, hearing none, this brings us to the presentation from Ameren today. This will be on advancing TOU rates, and I believe Tara Oglesby will be the first presenter.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Chairman Sylvie, commissioners, on behalf of our team, who you will see here on the slide here shortly as soon as it comes up, from Ameren, we have attending today. It's our pleasure to be here and talk about where we are as far as our time of use rollout to our electric residential customers goes. We have a great update to provide you. We have a lot to cover, but if at any time that you'd like to ask a question, please feel free to stop us, but we will be pausing periodically to see if you do have any. I'm going to ask Jeff Esserman to kick it off today, and then we will follow that with getting into a little bit deeper details as far as how we're going to be communicating with our customers. Amanda Barbieri will be talking to that. And then, of course, throughout the presentation, if anything else comes up that you'd like to discuss, please let us know. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Jeff Esserman.
Thank you, Tara. We can go to the next slide. So really appreciate the opportunity to discuss, the update today on our program and time of use rates. One thing I wanted to start with was, where we are from a deployment perspective, just to make sure that, we have a sense of where we are with our customers today. To date, through 2020, we deployed approximately 140,000 AMI meters in our territory. I checked today, we're right at about 165,000. We continue to progress on this plan in a very positive way. The communication network is working as designed. And now that we have our operational feet under us, we've really looked at our plan going forward, and we feel like we can complete this deployment in more of an accelerated time frame by year end 2024, while still adhering to our SB 564 guidelines. And really, that is an effort to expedite both the operational value that we get from deploying AMI meters, along with bringing customer benefits such as these rates to customers in an expedited fashion. So I'll pause just briefly there. Any questions on the deployment side? Okay, next slide. So what we're really excited about today is to talk to you. We updated in August on our approach, and we really also appreciated the variance and agreement on our
Are there any
time
questions?
continuation.
No? Okay.
Really appreciated the approval of our time continuation, as what we've been able to do is really take the significant amount of work in our billing system and with our online Ameren.com systems, and now combine that with a really strong customer engagement approach that we're looking to execute. And we've been looking to, use that time. We've involved, customer feedback. Since that approval, we've also gotten stakeholder feedback. We got input on our key communication deliverables from the staff. And so we're very focused now over the next couple of months in terms of executing on our education and outreach approach, making sure that there's an ease of experience with regard to rates and rate choice, and then also that there's tools in the toolbox for ongoing engagement with our customers. And so, today our senior manager over customer communication and change management, Amanda Barbieri, is really going to highlight, some of the details about our customer engagement plan. We're really excited about where we are. We look forward to, rolling this out in the next quarter. And we see this as, really beneficial in terms of the opportunity and starting our customers on this rate journey with our smart meter program. So I'll pause there for a second before I turn it over, but any questions?
Questions from the commission? Doesn't sound like it.
Thank you very much. I'll turn it over to Amanda Barbieri for more details on the engagement plan.
Great. Thanks, Jeff. I appreciate it. Good morning, everyone. Like Jeff said, my name is Amanda Barbieri, and I'm here today to walk you guys through our customer journey through the time of use default process that we're getting ready to go into here in a couple of months. So this first slide here is an overview. Just wanted to touch on our overall communication strategy with customers. So this is our direct interactions with customers, how we are proactively reaching out to customers throughout the journey. And as you can see, it starts approximately 30 days before the AMI meter installation through the day of meter installation with the leave behind or the door hanger. And then an educational pamphlet, if you will, about 2 weeks after the meter installation. We then provide customers with an education letter approximately 4 months after their meter has been installed and 2 months before they automatically start on their new time of use rate. And this letter actually is really intended to educate the customer on what a time of use rate is and really introduce the idea of an on-peak and an off-peak rate option. Approximately 5 months after their meter installation, customers will receive a rate comparison letter so that they can see what their rate would have been on their new time of use rate compared to the rate that they have been on over the last 4 months. We also have a communication with customers. It's a bill insert. It's a reminder that they will be on a new rate option starting in that next month. They'll see it on their bill. We also have some ongoing support materials that you'll see there highlighted for customers. 2 of those being mailed pieces. One is sort of a welcome letter, is what we've been calling it, to tell customers about their new rate options and how they can be successful on their new time of use rate option. We also have a touch point with customers approximately 12 months after they've been on a new time of use rate, just to touch base with them, support them on this ongoing journey of time of use rate options for customers. And then the bottom row, you'll see these are a lot of our alerts that we will be sending customers. Now, this is another element of support that we have that's ongoing for our customers throughout this cycle of their rate option journey. Any questions here?
Hey, man, this is Commissioner Roop. What is the budget threshold, 75, 100% triggered in the bottom on the email? What is that?
So customers can choose to set a threshold for their budget, either dollars or kilowatt hours. And so if they reach that threshold, if they're 75% of that threshold that they've set for themselves, they'll get an alert that lets them know that they're 75% of their budget so far. And then when they actually reach that threshold that they've indicated, they'll get another alert that states that they've met their threshold. It's just an awareness for customers so that they understand if they're reaching that sort of self-defined budget limitation.
Okay, great. Thank you.
So this next slide here, this is really our ongoing journey snapshot here of what customers will be going through throughout the time of use process. And we really wanted to make sure that we were capturing all the tools in the toolbox for our customers. That previous slide, I really wanted to highlight with you guys how we were proactively reaching out to customers. But here, this is sort of this all-encompassing view of the tools that are available to customers. That may not be direct reach outs, but there are options that we are building out as well that customers will have access to. A lot of our online features, we're redoing our website to make sure that, we have a robust educational experience for customers when they log on. Also making sure we have ongoing training efforts right now with our advisors, making sure that our advisors are up to speed on all of our rate options and to be able to communicate those thoroughly with our customers and answer any questions that they have. So again, this is sort of our full suite of tools that are going to be available to customers to make sure that they have all of their questions answered if they need it, and they have a lot of education at their fingertips. I know there's a lot on this slide, but are there any questions about any of these tools that we've called out?
Doesn't sound like it.
Okay, great. So Jeff mentioned it on a previous slide. We have been working hard to make sure that we have a lot of different convenient options for our customers. We wanted to make sure that we were inclusive of all customer types when we were taking a look at this journey that I've showed you in the last couple of slides. We wanted to make sure that we had options for our tech-savvy customers as we worked out ways for self-service. So throughout the web, we have some capabilities through our IVR tool. And then we also wanted to make sure for our non-tech savvy customers that we had some options for them as well that were convenient and worked for them. I mentioned before our training for our specialized advisor group to be able to handle all of those questions specific to time of use rates. So these advisors will be getting very detailed and specific training to be able to answer all of those questions, whether they're complex or basic, about our rate options. We also have, you'll see later in this slide deck, and I provided the material for you as well, that we have provided our customers with the ability to return a postcard to us with a rate selection option. So we found this to be a way to allow self-service options for our non-tech savvy customers. Any questions here?
Mr. Chairman, I have a question.
Go ahead.
As we've seen with the extreme weather and as it affected the state of Texas here recently, is there any consideration going forward with the fact that time of use could potentially set up a scenario where the daytime use is obviously designed to be higher to prevent usage, but the weather would be so extreme that it would require folks to keep that power on? Is there any consideration for how time of use will play out in the event of extreme weather?
Yes, we have given that a lot of consideration and making sure that as we communicate what an on-peak and off-peak rate is, we're making sure in our education stream that we're talking about what the differential is, what that rate is, and that it's not dependent on weather. So we have been more aware, especially after seeing what's happened in Texas, that the messaging of how TOU rate is explained, that it is not weather dependent, but it is more time dependent. That's been the focus of all of our communication efforts. We are actually in the process of creating a video for customers to make it easier for them to understand. And our focus really there is a time dependency. So the time in which you use energy. And not necessarily on, extreme weather per se.
Right. If it's minus 6 degrees outside, then, I'm not sure the time of day is going to matter when you're trying to keep your pipes from freezing.
That is a great point. That is correct. I think it would have to be a separate conversation if we're encouraging customers to conserve energy. But I think, on the daily basis, I think trying to educate customers on the time of day in which they are using energy, I think is a pretty high priority right now.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Amanda, I thought I might, this is Steve Wills, if there's a chance I might weigh in on that real quickly also.
That's great. Thanks, Steve.
Commissioner, I think one of the other, key points about this is that, on the rates that have the larger price differentials, those on peak periods with higher prices, first of all, they're fixed prices. So unlike Texas, where there might be a variable price where someone's cost of power might go up due to market conditions, the rate is going to stay fixed. And also on those higher price differentials, they're relatively short periods. So, I think every customer's experience would be slightly differently, but my anticipation would be when the furnaces are running all out all day, they would probably get more benefit from the off-peak rate being applicable 20 hours a day than detriment from the 4 hours a day with the higher price. I think each individual customer's load shape would dictate that a little bit, but my expectation on average is that most customers would be better off in that circumstance. And then also, to the extent that, a customer does respond to the price, it's also going to help because, with those high load conditions, those are going to be tightest during the peak times. So hopefully if customers, are trying to conserve, they can focus those efforts on the times of the greatest system impact during peak periods. So just a couple of thoughts on that.
Thank you.
Thank you. And also, commissioners, just feel free to jump in with questions, whatever you have. No need to seek recognition. Thanks.
Great, thank you. So I wanted to show you a little bit of the journey that our customers will see as they go through, the process. So when a customer would log into their account, this is the new screen that customers will see. And again, I wanted you to get a feel for what our customers will see as they go through the journey to making a rate selection. And as you can see, there are some options here that I've highlighted for customers to be able to access some new tools. We talk a little bit about the rate comparison tool, and I wanted to highlight where a customer would be able to access that rate comparison tool to allow them to see what these different rate options would mean for their particular energy usage. So these are a few areas where customers would be able to access some of these tools. And so the next screen will take you to an example of that tool. So that rate comparison tool that I just mentioned. Now this will be new for Ameren customers. We're currently in the build process of this tool, but as customers log on, they will have access to this screen, which will show them.
I appreciate you beating it up too.
Sounds like somebody's not muted.
Okay, I'll keep going.
All right. Okay.
Questions?
Proceed.
Feel free to jump in if there's questions. So this is the example of our rate comparison tool. As a customer logs in, they'll have access to this tool where they can see what their bill would have been on the different rate options that we have available to that customer. And for our customers that don't have access to log in to an account, they don't have access to the web or do not have an online account, our advisors do have access to this tool as well. It's through what we're calling the CARES application tool. This is a part of our Bidgely product that we're also implementing with our time of use rates. And advisors will have the ability to bring this tool up as they walk through a call with a customer so that they can communicate all of this information to the customer verbally over the phone if they do not have access to this tool online. Any questions about our rate comparison tool? Okay, so from there, customer, you can see here there's a button here. A customer can select a rate and decide that that's the rate that they want to be on. This will take them to a rate selection process. Again, I wanted to walk you through the journey so you can feel and see what our customers will see. So as a customer decides to make a rate selection, these are some of the screens that will populate that they will be able to see that will let them know what their current rate is and which rate that they are choosing to select. And once a rate has been selected, they will get to another screen that is a confirmation screen, and then they will receive a confirmation email as well. And again, I want to point out as well, customers will have the option of calling us to make a rate selection as well. So if they do not have access to the web or online account, they can call us, and it's a very similar process. The advisor will make the rate selection for them, and they will send a confirmation as well to the customer of the rate selection as well. Any questions on that process? Okay, great. So just moving on, I wanted to give you a snapshot of some of the mailers and the pieces that we are actively sending to customers through this journey. So approximately 4 months after their new AMI meter, a customer will receive this educational letter. Again, this educational letter really highlights the definition of an on-peak and off-peak rate, and encouraging customers to learn more, go online, and learn more about the different rate options that we have in Ameren, Missouri. So again, this is intended as general education. Our next mailer, which is 1 month after the one that you just saw, this gets a little bit more detailed for customers. This really introduces them to that new rate option that they will automatically start on a month from this letter. So this lets them know the specifics of that rate option. And it also provides a bill comparison. So what their bill would have been, and it takes 4 months of data, and it shows customers on a monthly average what their bill would have been on this new time of use rate compared to what their bill has been on their current rate that they've been used to. And then we provide a business reply card with a prepaid envelope as well, in case a customer would like to make a different decision on their rate options. So again, this is another way for us to allow for a self-service option for customers who may not have access to the internet or may not be tech savvy per se. Any questions on these two mailers? This is an example of the bill insert that customers will receive, and this is 6 months after their AMI meter, and this will remind customers that starting on their next bill, it'll look different. They will be on a different rate. So at this time, customers have been defaulted into that new time of use rate. So this is really kind of in conclusion, we just wanted to highlight here what that journey looked like for customers. We've taken the extension time that you guys have given us to make sure that we really built out a very robust communication strategy, and that we had assets in place that could really help our customers, and build quite a few tools for customers to access, to utilize, to better understand how these time of use rate options fit their lifestyle, and educate themselves on what this energy usage means for them. We've also done quite a bit of work to make sure that we have that overall billing system readiness with these new rate structures, and making sure that they're billing correctly and appropriately. And then also the shadow billing functionality to make sure that that rate comparison view that we're showing customers is accurate and thorough. So we've been hard at work at that as well. And then making sure that we're taking a look at that ongoing relationship with customers and how we can support them moving forward through the time of use journey. Making sure that customers have access to those tools even well beyond that 6-month mark when we would start defaulting customers to the new time of use rate. So we have quite a few things that are in flight, but ready to go, later this year to make sure that customers have everything that they need. Any questions?
Any questions from the commission?
Yeah, this is Commissioner Roop. I've got a couple. Thank you first off for the presentation. It was very, very informative, and I appreciate you showing us what the customers are going to see on the bills and what their journey is going to be. So how many of your customers have had an AMI meter for at least 6 months?
So we will have, I think by the time we will go live, I believe, Jeff, can you correct me? I think it's going to be 155,000 customers. Is that right?
It'll probably, by the 6 month, we'll probably be closer to the 100,000. When we go live in May, it'll be close to 100,000 customers that would be on the AMI meters for that period of time.
Okay, so you've had customers on AMI meters, they just haven't been part of the TOU rate yet, correct?
That's right.
Okay, so you have basically in May, you'll have 100,000 that have been on for 6 months, so that would trigger their switch to the default TOU rate, correct, in May?
So we will stagger some of those customers in to make sure that we have the ability to communicate with them, educate them on the change, and then we will stagger those customers in over a couple of months, a few months.
And just how are you staggering? Just randomly or geographically or zip code or?
It's timing of the install. So those customers that were installed very early on in our process, or earlier last year, those customers will be defaulted first. So it's really a timing of the deployment. So we'll stagger those customers in. So the customers who've had their AMI meter for longer, so approximately a year at that point, a little less, those customers will be defaulted first.
Okay. So when do you think you would have preliminary data on the number of customers that stayed on the TOU rate or defaulted back to the flat rate or opted to go to the advanced rate? If you're starting in May, when do you think you would start seeing that data to roll in?
So the team is hard at work right now, making sure that we've got the ability to capture a lot of that data from the beginning of our process, and making sure that we have visibility into that data very quickly, so that we can gain a better understanding and pivot if we need to. So I would anticipate that we would, as communications roll out through the month of May, I think we will start to see some of that data come in. I think at this time, we have scheduled, there will be approximately 120,000 pieces of communication that will be going out to our customers in the month of May at this point. And so I think what we'll see in that first month of communications that go out is how our customers are responding and reacting. I think it could be a few months, 3 to 4 months before we start seeing substantial data, as we go through the staggered rollout with our customers and as they actually begin getting defaulted onto this new rate. So I think it would be a good 3 to 4 months after our go live. So, end of Q3, maybe Q4 before we had any substantial data.
Great. I would be really interested if you guys could set up another briefing for beginning of Q4 so we could kind of get an inkling of what you're seeing on those data points.
Commissioner, one comment on the rollout. We're staggering a little bit, but it's also in an effort to make sure that, our customer care center can be available for any questions. We just want to make sure that we roll it out in a way that we support it well. And so the reason that we're, kind of staggering in that way is to make sure that, it affords the customer an opportunity to be serviced as well in that period.
No, it makes sense. I don't think you want 100,000 phone calls on day one. So that makes a lot of sense. Thank you.
Okay, any other questions from commissioners at this time? Doesn't sound like it.
Well, this is Tara Oglesby, and I will just conclude this just by thanking everyone for your time today. As the team, indicated earlier, they put a lot of work and a lot of thought and partnered with commission staff on just making sure that this whole process, which is going to be very new for our customers and new for us, that it's a great experience for our customers. And we will be happy to come back in Q4 and share the results of those first few months of our rollout. So thank you very much.
All right, and thank you. We do appreciate these updates, and they are very insightful for us. So I do appreciate you bringing that today. All right.
Thank you all.
Thank you. Well, we have no other business coming before the body with the conclusion of the presentation. So with that, we will stand adjourned. Thank you, commissioners.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you,
Chairman.
Mr. Chairman.